Hello and welcome everyone to today's video. So in today's class, we have another C or C++ past question that we are to deal today. So in today's video, we're going to look at these questions. So the first one is differentiate between an algorithm and a program. So we're going to differentiate between what is an algorithm and what is a program. The second one is that what is an array? That's the first question there. What is an array? And then also we have that the monthly barrels of crude oil production for 6 months in a location as recorded by a government agency is given by some values which are 90 12, 73 22, 43 42, 19 90, 92 32, and 83 42. That is, the first value is 9012, the second value is 7322, the third is 4342, the fourth is 9090, the fifth is 9232, and the sixth is 8342. So we're asked that storing these numbers as an array or storing these numbers in an array, develop an algorithm and also write a C++ program to find the largest and the smallest productions in the list or like in the array also. So also they say that the program should also display the total and the average productions that is given by this monthly report. So we're going to look at all of these questions and solve them right now in this session. So without much further ado, let's just dive right into solving them right away. So the first question is asking what's the difference between an algorithm and a program. So we're going to write what's the difference between an algorithm and a program. So what's an algorithm? An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure. So an algorithm is a step-by-step procedure or logical sequence of instructions. So or logical sequence of instructions, of instructions designed to solve a specific problem. So designed to solve a specific problem, or you can say task, right? So let's say we want to write an algorithm. I want to write a program to calculate the area of a circle, right? So we're going to write an algorithm for that, whereby we have to get the radius, and then with the radius we use that to calculate for the area. So the algorithm is actually a step-by-step procedure or logical sequence that explains how we solve that particular problem. So we can say that it is written in a way that is easy to understand. So in a way that is easy to understand and can be converted into a program and can be converted into a program, just like I just gave an example earlier, calculating the area of a circle. I have to write an algorithm for that. Okay, so whereas a program, we're going to say that a program, so we've defined what an algorithm is. So we say a program on the other hand is a set of instruction. A program on the other hand is a set of instruction. It's a set of instructions. Okay, it's a set of instructions written in a particular language. A program, on the other hand, is a set of instructions written in a particular or specific language, in a specific in a specific in a specific language that the computer can understand, so that the computer so that the computer can understand or execute. Can understand, because you have to understand before you execute, right? Can understand and execute. Okay, so that's the difference between them. So an algorithm is a step-by-step procedure, while a program is a set of instructions written in a specific language. So we can have a program written in C++, in C#, in Python, and what have you. Okay, so the second question, I think this is the first one. So this is question 1, right? It's question 1. Let me go back and see what we have again. So we have differentiate between an algorithm and a program. Okay, so the second question now is asking us some stuff that we should actually define what an array is. Okay, number 2 is what is an array. So what is an array? So what is an array? An array is a collection of multiple values of the same type. So an array is a collection. An array is a collection of multiple values of the same type of data. So an array is a collection of multiple values of the same type of data that is stored in memory, that is stored together in memory, that is collectively stored in a computer memory. So in a computer memory, and that's what an array is. So for example, we can have an array that has an integer. So for example, you can have an array, and so in C++, if you want to write an array, you have to write it inside curly braces. So you can have an array that has 7 integers. So let's say 7, 4, 3, 2. So this is an array of 4 integers. So we can have another array also that has floats in it. So we can have another one that has something like a 1.1. We can have another one like minus let's say 15.6. We can have another one like 7.9. We can have another one like 10.0. So all these are arrays, and you can see in this one, this array is storing all integers. This other one is storing floats, or you can call them double numbers, anyhow you want to write them. Okay, so that is that for the first question in that particular that's about the first answer to that particular problem. So the second question is asking us here that we should actually develop an algorithm for this particular project, which is used to get the monthly report for the barrels of crude oil production. Okay, so the second one is to write an algorithm. So let's say 2b. So the algorithm for the program. So we can say algorithm for the program. Okay, so we can say algorithm of the program. So in an algorithm, the first process is to start. The first is to what? To start. So we're going to say start. So that's the first thing in an algorithm. Then after that, we're just going to write some stuff. So we're saying number 2, an algorithm. So we can say algorithm, we say define an array. So we say define an array with 6 production values, or you can just say values. So but let me just say 6 production values. Okay, so that's the second step. So the third step right now, the third step is to assume the first, let me write it properly. So assume the first value of the array. Assume the first value of the array to be the largest and what? And smallest. So assume it to be the largest and the smallest value in the array. Largest and smallest value in the array. And so the fourth step right now, what's the first step we have is to loop through the array. So we're going to loop through the array. So we say loop through the array. So we're going to loop through the array. So loop through the array. So we're going to say loop through the array. Then we're going to have some subsections here. So 4a is that we're going to update. Update largest. I'm going to tell you what largest is. So this largest is a variable which is used to hold the largest number in the array. So we're going to update it if a number is greater. So if a number is greater, so that's the first one. Then the 4b is that we're also going to update smallest. So smallest is also a variable. So update smallest. So update smallest if a number is less, or you can say smaller. So if a number is smaller, and then 4c is going to be that we're going to add all numbers to sum. So we're also going to have a variable called sum. So add all numbers in the iteration, add all numbers to sum. Okay, so that's actually what we are going to do in this iteration, and that will be for the fourth step. So the fifth step after the iteration is to compute the average, right? So the fifth stage is to compute, let me write it properly, compute the average by dividing sum, which is the variable, right? Dividing the variable sum by 6. So we're going to divide the sum by 6, and after that we're going to actually do the sixth stage, which is to display the quantities we want. So we're going to display largest. So largest is a variable which is going to store the largest number. We're also going to display smallest. We're also going to display smallest. We're also going to display the total, right, which is also like the sum. So we're going to display total, or we can call it sum. So since I've been talking about sum here, let's call it sum. So we're going to display sum, and then we're also going to display average. Okay, so that is the algorithm. So the last step, since we actually started with start, we are going to stop. So this is the end of the algorithm that will help us to get this. So we're asked to write an algorithm to help us to explain this. So the next thing we're going to do right now is to write the C++ program that will help us to get this up and running, and that's actually what we're going to do now. So we're going to write the C++ program right now. So the first step, so let's say the C++ program. So the C++ program, so what we're going to do first is to actually include the IOStream library. So include IOStream. So we include the IOStream library, and after that we say using namespace std. So using namespace std. Okay, then after that we're going to go into the main function. So we say int main. So int main. Okay, after that we have to actually enter the main function now. So since the array is going to be of size 6, so we're going to also declare an array right now, and then we saw that they are all integers, so they're going to be of integer type. So let's call this array production. So the array name is production, right? So production is the name of the array, and we say it's going to be storing 6 data. So we're also going to actually initialize it to have 6 members, and that we have initialized to what we have been given. So the first number is 9012, and then the second one is 7322. The third member is 4342. The fourth is 9090. The fourth is 1990. The fifth is 92. The fifth is 9232. The fifth is 9232, and then the sixth is 8342. 8342. So that is the sixth member, and then we close the array. So we close the array with the curly brace, and after that, this is actually a statement, so we also terminate with a semicolon. That's the end of initializing the array. And now the second step now is to initialize our variables, like the largest, the smallest, and then the sum. So we're going to first, like what you have in our algorithm, we said that we're going to initialize the largest and the smallest to be equal to the first member. So we're going to have int largest. Like we just said, largest is going to be the variable to hold the largest number in the array. So largest is going to first be initialized to the first member of the array. So we're going to say it is going to be equal to production. Okay, production, and then the first member of the array is going to be accessed by the index, so it's going to be by the index 0. Okay, so that's for the largest. So the second one is also for the smallest, so we say int smallest, and that is also going to be initialized to the first member of the array. So we call that also is also going to be the production of at index 0. Okay, then the next we are going to also initialize is the sum, right? So the sum is going to start first at 0. So we're going to start the sum at 0. These are all statements, so we're also going to terminate them with semicolon. Okay, so that is that about the initialization. Then the next we're going to go now is into the for loop. It's into the for loop. So we're going to do a for loop here. So we're going to say for. So we're going to say int from I is equal to 0, right? So we're going to say from I is equal to 0, and then we're going to also loop from I is less than 7, right? Oh no, so let's say less than 6, because I'm initializing from 0, we're going from 0, so we're going to say to 6, right? And then we're going to do I plus plus. Okay, so we're going to go from I is equal to 0 to I is equal to, or less than 6. So we're going to go from 0, which is the first iteration. We're going to go to 1, which is the second. We're going to go to 2, which is the third. We're going to go to 4th, which is the fifth, and then we're going to go to 5th, which is the 6th iteration, right? So we're going to actually close this bracket here, and then we're also going to go into the loop, right? And then we're going to go to something now. So we're going to say, we're going to do something now, and so we're going to say sum is going to be equal to production, right? Production, sorry, let's write it this way. Sum is going to be equal to, let's write it this way, sum is going to be plus equal to, because we're going to add it, we're going to add the iterated values to sum. So sum we're going to be equal to plus equal to production, and then production is going to actually, so this I value is going to help us to look at the index of all of this data in the production array. So it's going to be equal to production, and then here will be going to be I, right? So in the first time when I is equal to 0, it's going to be production at index 0. So you're going to first take the first member of the array, and then after that we are going to add the data into sum, and after that we're going to do some if statements here. So we're going to say if, so if production I, so which is the ith member of the array, so if production at index I is what is greater than largest, which is the largest member we have already initialized to the first member of the array. So if it is greater than that, what we are going to do is that we are going to actually open up the if statement and then come here to say that largest would be equal to that value. So it's going to be equal to production at the ith index, right? Then that's going to be the end of that. We also close the if block. The next thing we're going to do is also do another if statement for the lower now. So we're going to say if production I also, right? So if production array at the I is less than what? Is less than smallest. So if it is less than smallest, what do? We also kind of give that value to smallest. So we say smallest. So we say smallest is equal to production at that ith index. We also terminate this edit statement, and then we close our if statement. So that is going to be that for the for loop. After that we close it here, so that signifies the end of the for loop. Then after that, what do? We have that we're going to have something called the average, right? So we're going to have the average. So we can actually have an int, let's call it int, let's call it float, because it's going to actually be a floating number. So let's say float. So let's say float average. So float average is going to be equal to, what? It's going to be equal to sum divided by 6.0. So it's going to be actually taking all of those numbers and dividing it by the number, or by the length of the array, which is in this case 6. So next we are going to do is to display all of them. So we do cout. So let's terminate this with a semicolon. So we say cout. We're going to have the largest to be displayed. So we say largest. So we say largest is going to be what? Largest. So which is the largest variable, or which is the largest data. So largest. Okay, now we end line here, so that we're going to actually give it to be displayed on a new line. So we say end L. Okay, the next is the smallest. So we say cout smallest. We also say we're going to display smallest. Okay, then the next is also to display the sum, or the total, right? So we say cout sum. So we say cout sum is going to be the sum. We also say end L. Then after that we're also going to display the average. So cout average. Okay, average is going to be the average variable. So we say average, right? And then we also do an end L. Okay, then after that, what do? We have to return 0. So we say return 0, which is the end of the main function. We say return 0, and then we end our program here. Okay, so that is for the C++ program that will help you to write an algorithm, or help you to write a program, or help you to display sort of anyhow I want to put it, to give you what will run for that particular program, where you have 6 barrels to report it in a month, and to get the largest, the smallest, the average, the minimum, or which is smallest, which is minimum, largest, which is maximum, right? And the average. So this is actually about it. So let's go through it right again. So the first is just to include the iostream library using namespace std, the int main, and then we do the initialization of the production array. So we initialize it with those data that we've been given. So in this case, since we have said that we have 6 members, so the array is going to be of size 6. So we have given our data here, which is 90, 12, 73, 22, 43, 42, 90, 90, 92, 32, 83, 42. The next thing is to initialize our largest, our smallest, and our sum, like we have said in our algorithm. So first we are going to say the largest and the smallest is going to be the first member, right? And then after that we are going to go into the for loop. So the for loop is actually what is going to iterate through all the members of the array, and for each of them is going to now add up that value to sum. So in the first case now, when it's going to say 90, 12, which is the 0th index of the array, it's going to add that to 0, which is first the value of sum. So the second time it adds 93, 22 to the second iteration that it has done. Then after that, also that in that process, we're also going to do some if checks here. We're going to be checking if the index, or if that particular value at that index is larger than the previous value stored at largest or smallest. So if that new value is larger than the largest stored value, we have to now overwrite that largest value with the new one. If also that value is smaller than the smallest stored value, we are going to also overwrite the smallest variable with that particular data, and that will be it. So after that, we are actually going to divide that sum by the length of the array, which is 6, and then after that we just do the printing of the data, right? And that is that about the program. So if you actually understand everything about it, just help me comment about it. If you also have some other questions, you can ask them in the comment section. Also help me share this video to your fellow colleagues. If you haven't subscribed, please help me subscribe to this channel. Also turn on the notification bell so that I don't miss out on any of our videos. Without much further ado, I will leave you right here so that you have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.